What's this?
Hello, welcome back to the Freak Show. Bumpy McSquigums here. I want to thank you all for joining me as I continue with my Let's Play of the Tides of Numenera Torment, or Torment the Tides of Numenera. We are doing a horrible thing. No, we're not doing horrible things, at least not yet. We did do some murder. We forced a fight, or at least accepted a fight that was going to be forced on us anyway, I feel. And we're no worse for the wear, I guess. There's still some weird alien creature there that's not good. Death is nothing, I return from it unscathed, fools. Alright, let's go and start talking to some of these other people. It's Tibir. Alright, pacing the edges of the crowd is a paunchy old soldier with a swaggering stride. At the moment, however, his jauntiness seems overshadowed by worry, and he alternates between watching the execution and searching the crowd as if looking for a miracle. Then his eyes light on you.
I say... You look like someone who believes in justice. How'd you like to help a poor soul wrongfully condemned?
What kind of help do you need? Well, I don't need anything, but my friend there on the platform is dying. The nightmares his executioners have induced in him spill from him with every word he speaks and wrap around him like a snake. He glances at the execution. I know there are but a few strands around him now, but in a few days' time they'll choke the life out of him. I cannot imagine a more horrible way to die. Well, that's not true. I have an imagination that would shame a sailor. He leans in. You'll need to be swift and willing to hold justice above law. But there is a way to save him, if you will hear me out. And who are you? Captain Lanchin Tibir, retired, he says with a little bow. Extremely retired, once a soldier of fortune, now it's plaything. He takes another look at Riss. But my story can wait. Saving Riss's life comes first. Okay, why is your friend being executed? Well, a misunderstanding, he says, waving a dismissive hand. Riss and I were hired to deliver some expensive brandy to an out-of-town buyer. He breathes a sigh, weighted with disgust and regret. Would you believe that the bottles were stuffed with state secrets? Riss was accused of selling information to the enemies of Sagus Cliff. They call him a traitor. It was a travesty, he growls, his eyes blazing with righteous fury. The poor lad had no idea what was in there. But you did, right? Well, he says, studying the air over your shoulder, there's a place for talking about what I know and what I don't. This isn't the place. Well, if you were part of the scheme, why aren't you up there with him? Luck, he says, shrugging. I was taking a piss when they came for him. Went through the back window and scampered up onto the roof. He shakes his head. I watched poor Riss being led away from my hiding spot. Swore I'd get him free. I hope it's a promise I can keep. Okay, well, I want to talk to your friend. Are you mad? Tibir sputters. It's an execution. He's surrounded by levies. They won't let you near him. And even if they did, he's out of his head. You'll get nothing but gibberish from him. I still want to try. Tibir holds up his hands. As you wish, just don't say I didn't warn you. The levies are not to be trifled with. Well, what's your plan? Well, it's a simple one, but it requires nerve. Listen. He lowers his voice. It would be nothing for someone of your noble demeanor to masquerade as a city official and ask the council clerk for an archived copy of an old stay of execution. Once you have it, I'll write out a fresh one and add Riss's name. Then we'll present it to the overseer here, and poor Riss will be set free. He spreads his hands. There you have it, a foolproof, risk-free plan. That sounds like an extremely risky plan, actually. Nonsense, he says, waving a hand. It couldn't be simpler. Just be calm, confident, and wear a winning smile. Would it be simpler to talk to the crowd at the execution, convince them to rise up and free Riss? Tibir looks uneasy. Well, you're welcome to try, friend, but leave me out of it. Sagus Cliff's crowds are notoriously bloodthirsty, and the execution officials are not known for their sense of humor. You might regret it later, and you'd be alone when you did. Where do I find the council clerk? He'd be in the government square, of course. There's a podium outside the council tower. I can't think of a time he wasn't there. Well, The choices, guys and gals, the choices. Like, I want to try talking to the crowd, but he's like, we'll see. I'm going to say I can't help him. Have a heart, he says, shaking his head in disbelief. Can you really walk away when it's in your power to save a man's life? Alright, you convinced me. Excellent, then you will need a proper story and a badge of office. And fortunately, I have the first, and you can buy the second from Sangolin, the clothing merchant in Government Square. He folds his arms. Once you have a badge of office, you will tell the council clerk you are from the Judicial Oversight Committee, okay, looking into corruption and the commutation of capital sentences, okay. The stay you're asking for is that of a notorious gangster named Cole Cardine, or Cece, who was mysteriously set free a few years ago. When you get Cole's stay of execution, I'll make a copy with Rissa's name on it, and you can give it to the overseer who will set him free. You see? Simple. He rubs his hands together. Now, if you'll let me join you, I'd be happy to show you around the city and help you with all this. And whatever else you have going on. What do you say? Yeah, sure. It will be my pleasure, but let's hurry. There's not a moment to lose. Riss hasn't much time.
Updated my journal.
Updated my journal. Well, that's weird. Naturally. A horrified man, a mercenary. Yeah, what? Horrified man. Whoa. This man stares at the execution in utter horror. He cannot look away. No crime deserves such a punishment. How can this be allowed? What exactly is happening here? A waking nightmare, though they call it an execution, he shudders. The unfortunate victim is put into a trance that forces him to speak his nightmares. His words spill out of him as a rope of flesh, which is wrapped around his body until it crushes him to death. Huh. That's weird. He shakes his head, and the indignity doesn't end when the poor wretch finally dies, for the devourer of wrongs eats his flesh. Well, that sounds terrible, too. Why is everybody watching this? They are animals. They find pleasure in cruelty. The horror of it will deter others from crime. Utter nonsense. Punishment for bad behavior won't change a man. Reward for good behavior is far more effective. If that's what really mattered to the authorities. This is nothing more than spectacle and amusement for the masses. If I had any courage. Well, what if I joined you? Together we could give the city authorities what they deserve. You're right, the practice needs to be stopped. Join me, let's put an end to it now. Well, I agree with you, but I don't have the courage either. Maybe another day. Oh boy, gosh, these choices are the worst. What if I joined you, Okay, Indigo Tide raised a tiny amount so the Red Tide... He looks at you frightened. Punish the punishers? Are you saying we should try to interrupt the execution? You said the punishment should not be allowed. Did you mean it? Can a just man stand by when injustice is the law? The man seems to shrink in his skin. My friend, I am a coward. I always have been, but you're right. If a man does not stand by his beliefs, what is he? He swallows, then nods. I will do it. For justice! Let him go! Let him go!
Of course.
Truths are being revealed. I think before we do whatever it is that we're doing, we need to find a way of resting. 'Cause until we do that, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. Oh my gosh, this town has so much stuff. Various devices clutter the three tables of the stall. Some of them spark and twitch as if objecting to the proximity of their neighbors.
Yes.
Oh, this could take hours to get through this town, guys and gals. A myriad statues sit at various stages of completion, each featuring a figure that leaves you with a feeling of profound disquiet when you look at it. In several of the pieces, the creature depicted appears to almost lunge out of the stone, almost as if hurling itself at the sculptor. Perhaps that is why they were left unfinished.
Why not?
Well, there we go. Canopied wagon beds lie forlornly against the wall, bereft of axles or any other means of locomotion. They don't appear to be going anywhere anytime soon. There are slavers over here. We stash slaves here. We don't sell them. The ones down below are bound for the bloom. And what say you, sir? Don't talk to me. Talk to the boss. I don't really want slaves, guys. Just saying. He whistles. Alright, well, we don't want to do anything over here. I need to find a place to rest. If we're going to do any kind of weird fighting or battling, we need to get our boy Alligern up to full power before we can do that.
It's a plan.
So that means we need to find where the cult is. And this is it. This is where it is. The size of the human figure that's repeated throughout the camp is highly unusual. It's used as a symbol to suggest the elevation of humanity or perhaps a specific person. Okay. You feel a slight tugging in the corners of your mind when gazing upon this symbol.
All right.
Look, it's one of the Death Cheater's vessels. Ah, can it be? What fortune, what joy! Casmine will want to see you, vessel, and Mimion, too. Thanks for that.
Yes.
What are we doing here? This structure is embedded in the ground. It was clearly not made by the same people who built Circus Minor. It looks as though the device extends deeper into the ground below the road. Weathered runes are spread across the device's surface. Leave the device alone. Casmine and Minimium.
All right.
This is an ancient device embedded in the ground. Weathered runes are etched into its surface. Yep, seems to be par for the course here, guys. The energy trapped within the discs and set at the top of the pillars that line this wall appear to pulse slightly different as people walk in front of them. Well, that's fascinating, I guess. What is this?
I'm going.
As you approach the clock, there is a pause in the argument the duo next to it are having. The petite woman turns toward you. Her hair is unusual, a light, almost yellow color, and her bright eyes dominate her pretty face. Excuse me, but my colleague and I were having a discussion, and her eyes fall upon her tattoo, and her breath catches audibly in her throat. Her partner is an unnaturally tall man, gaunt and sour-faced, his voice sonorous? Sure. With fingers that twitch and weave through strange contortions. That looks wrong. It's fine, though. Occasional light sparks in the air as he does. He turns to you and opens his mouth to speak, registers your tattoo, and closes it again. His throat bobs for a moment, and he says, "It is an honor." He nods his head to the two of them. This is good old Alligern. "I've brought someone you should meet," he turns to you. "These are Casmine, and Mimion. They're the leaders of the local branch of your church. You have our thanks for the introduction, Alligern, our deepest thanks." He eyes the Aeon Priest for a moment as if about to say more, but thinks better of it. He collects himself. If I might impose on your time for a moment, will you tell me about your tattoo? How did you shape it? Do you know why it differs from the others? "I don't know much about my tattoo. What does it mean to you?" "You have been touched by the changing god," she whispers, his mind sheltered in you. Okay, he shared his dreams, his power with your mind, and when he left your body, he created you, she swallows. The tattoo marks you, all of you, with his symbol. It grows and changes as you mature so that it becomes your symbol instead. There are more of you. They call you cast-offs. She cocks her head, studying you. "You are welcome here, revered one. We stand ready to serve as we can. Have you any questions for us?" I want to rest. Can I rest somewhere, guys? Come on. Who are you? He considers your words before answering, a thoughtful pause. "I am Mimion. I am one of the leaders of the cult of the Changing God in Sagus Cliffs, and my primary duty is as chief archivist. My colleague is Casmine. She is responsible for the day-to-day administration of our encampment." Okay, can you tell me more about the city? The city your sire built and defended. The cradle of civilization, the center of the empire of knowledge. His eyebrows rise, and his slow tone is effusive. It is among the great works of humanity in the Ninth World. Built on the foundations laid by unknown creators, it has risen to become one of the preeminent cities on Garavia Sound. He pauses. It is somewhat diminished in these latter years, to be sure. Perhaps if the changing god were to return to lead us to glory. Do you know anything about the sorrow? She shudders and touches herself ritualistically on the forehead and on her lips. A monster of deepest nightmare. I have heard that it wants you dead. Every one of the Holy One's creations, all dead. I don't know why, but it hates you. Huh, neat. Can you tell me anything more about the city? Many thousands of souls call Sagus Cliffs their homes. Or their home. They came here for safety, for succor, and the changing god protected them. Now you can visit the spires of Government Square where he once sat, or the places where his machines once shifted the city out of time. Huh. Your sire even faced the bloom when he was here. She represses a shiver, but you should avoid it at all cost. There is much else to do in the city if you want to walk in your sire's footsteps. Can you tell me anything more about the city? Nope, same thing. What about anything else about the sorrow? He nods somberly, raising a finger to his forehead. Only that it is pitiless, and it wants nothing more than the destruction of you and all those who, like you, were created by your sire. Well, that sounds wonderful for me. What can you tell me about my sire? You mean the most accomplished inventor of our time, the hero of Sagus Cliffs, the man who dodged death itself, the Time Weaver, the man who destroyed the Oh, we have so much to say, she catches herself. But perhaps we should wait for another time. Do you know anything about a device called the Resonance Chamber? Rumor and conjecture, nothing more. Idle speculation from those who wish to pretend to knowledge of your sire's motivations, passed along as fact. He leans out to touch you. Have you seen it? Do you know where it is? What it does? The resonance chamber is in the reef of fallen worlds under a broken dome. I don't know anything about the resonance chamber, but I was told you might. He smiles slightly and spreads his hands in an apology. Not as much as I should like, but we have ways to find answers. His eyes trawl your face, and it seems as if he is on the verge of understanding something. It is said by those loyal to your sire that the chamber is the solution to the sorrow, the creature that hunts you all. We don't know how, though. She bows her head slightly. We take this as an article of faith. The resonance chamber will save you. He looks sharply at you now, all distraction gone. I do not recognize you, he says. You do not match any descriptions we have recorded. She snaps her fingers as if she is finally figuring out a mystery. Wait. Let me remember your face. She studies you carefully. Oh my. You're new. Are you the changing god? Can it be? She reaches out to touch your sleeve and pulls her hand back quickly. Nope. Her eyes flicker toward you and... Oh, sorry. His eyes flicker toward you and his mouth draws down for a moment, but he says nothing. He nods, satisfied. As I thought, you are a cast-off, one of his children. He touches you with his long-fingered hand as if in consolation. There is no shame in such a thing. Many cast-offs have come to our attention, and some of them have sought to deceive us so that they might seem more important. He smiles softly. If you are as new as we suspect, it is better for us, to know the truth of your existence than to bluster and lie. Crestfallen, she touches your shoulder. Are you sure you're not? She catches herself. No. Why would you lie about that? With a noticeable effort, she wrenches herself into optimism and she chirps. But you're new, aren't you? You're new. Have you decided what you'll do? What you'll be? Your sire's other children have done amazing things. Amazing, and no doubt you will as well. Mimion lays a hand on her shoulder and his voice is low, cautionary. Cass. She looks away from you for a moment, swallowing sudden tears, and he says, "We do have a request for you." He gestures toward the clock behind him. Dark figures, what is this? Circambulate these clock faces, okay? I theorize that your sire's creation of the time shields that protect the city established a connection with his future selves. Given this, we believe those figures may be cast-offs, or ghosts of cast-offs, perhaps, the living shells of the bodies your creator has worn previously. His fingers shrug eloquently for him. Okay. The clock is unmoored in time, you see. We do not have a knowledge sufficient to investigate. But you might. You have a connection with he who created the clock. You should be able to align it with the present time and uncover who these figures are. A gentle, rare smile appears. If you cannot, at least you will increase our store of knowledge. She smiles bravely, looking between Mimion and you, and says, "And then we can answer the questions you must have, right, Mim? Do you have any idea how to fix the clock?" "We have tried. I have appealed to the Order of Truth. I have spoken with eminent seekers of knowledge. We have sent for wisdom for as far as the Steadfast, a great achievement, you must agree. None have given us an answer. We believe your sire created the device, or had a hand in it, perhaps." Dismay dances across his fingers. His hungry-eyed compatriot steps in. "Perhaps you can find an answer where others have failed, and then we can help you." She turns away. "You will have our boundless gratitude, revered one."
I'll remember that.
I'll remember that. I want to rest. Let me rest, for the love of Jiminy Cricket. We struck a bargain, revered one. We would be poor in spirit indeed if we did not honor our promise. Yet I see the clock remains unfixed, and you bring us no new knowledge of its workings. Well, thank you. Great. Alright.
Of course.
Let's go interact with this horrible, horrible device. This complex machine towers over you. Its purpose is unclear, but the three circular faces set into the ground remind you of clocks. Something is wrong with the machine, however. It's partially transparent, shimmering in the air when you look directly at it. The clock faces seem to show several different times at once. Humanoid silhouettes ripple beneath the central clock face. One places his hand against the face as if it were a glass. They seem to be watching you. Well, let's examine the machine. The towering mechanisms waver in the air, similar to Calestige. It appears to be in several states at once, though all of the machine's states are in the exact same location. You can't touch it either. Your hand passes right through the structure. As you pull your hand away, a memory strikes you as powerfully as someone took a club to your chest. You are working at the clock. It is no longer transparent, but perfectly solid. There is a noise behind you, so they've come, the three traitors. They think to surprise you, but through the powers of the clock, you have foreseen this moment. There is the faintest sound of metal sliding against leather. You slap a hand on the central clock face, activating the clock's arcane powers. You're not sure what it will do to them, but it's better than what they'll do to you. There's a flash. Arcs of energy stretch out from the clock over your shoulder to your would-be attackers. You don't see what happens to them, but they quickly disappear along with their screams. As the last shreds of the memory fade, a swirl of energy passes through your body. Cold barbs prick every muscle. Suddenly, tidal forces arc from the clock to three ancient devices in the cultist encampment. That can't be good. The clock recognized something inside you, or maybe vice versa. Either way, you have inadvertently activated the nearby devices. Uh-oh!
I'll remember that.
There's one. There's two. And there's three. Well, that can't be good. Or can it? Well, that is a tale for another time, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to break off the episode right here. I hope you guys enjoyed, and in the next episode, we will continue to endeavor to get through the town, find a resting spot, hopefully heal up, and then maybe go and stay in execution. I mean, we're getting a lot of stuff to do, but we haven't actually been in combat or got to do any fun stuff like that in a while, which is okay. It's okay. I am enjoying the story. I like how the whole world is crafted. It's really detailed, and I'm enjoying it a lot. Hopefully you guys are as well. Anyway, folks, until the very next episode, my name's Bumpy McSquigums. Thank you so much for stopping by the Freak Show, and I will see you later.